Have you ever felt someone slowly slipping away from your heart without a word spoken? Why does something as warm and beautiful as love dissolve into silence and distance? What if the answers lie not in blame, but in the quiet wisdom of impermanence? Love is like the morning mist that blankets a quiet mountain, gentle, serene, and seemingly eternal. In those first soft hours, it feels as if it will last forever. But as the sun begins to rise, the mist vanishes, slowly, silently, revealing the unyielding stone beneath. It makes us ask, why does love change? Why do those who once gazed at us with tenderness suddenly avert their eyes with indifference? In Zen and Buddhist philosophy, the truth is clear, though not always easy to accept. Impermanence, anicca, is one of the fundamental truths of existence. Nothing remains unchanged. Emotions, relationships, even the deepest attachments are all subject to the natural rhythm of rise and fall, of blooming and fading. The Buddha once taught, just as a river does not cling to the banks it flows past, the heart too moves from one state to another. When someone loses their love for you, it rarely happens in a dramatic moment. There are no announcements, no closing ceremonies. Instead, they do two quiet, almost invisible things, two subtle acts that signal the ending of what once was. To understand these signs, let us step into a story, an old Zen parable about love, loss, and the wisdom of letting go. It begins with a traveler, a thoughtful man with a gentle spirit who spent his life trying to understand the mysteries of the heart. He had once tasted love, felt its warmth, and believed in its forever. But one day, the woman he loved, the one who had once held his hand with certainty and smiled with quiet joy, began to change. At first, it was barely noticeable. A missed glance here, a shorter word there. Like the first leaf that falls from a tree before autumn fully arrives, the signs were subtle but real. Then, as days passed, the silence between them deepened. Words became scarce, touches became rare. The space between them filled with unspoken truths. Seeking clarity, the traveler climbed the mountains to visit a wise old monk, a man known for his deep stillness and quiet wisdom, like a calm lake reflecting the sky. "Master," the traveler said with a heavy heart, "I feel love slipping from my grasp. The one who once walked beside me now moves ahead, not caring if I follow. What have I done wrong?" The monk closed his eyes, letting the silence settle before replying. When love fades, it does not vanish like smoke in the wind. It recedes, like the tide, quietly, revealing the shore that was always underneath. "There are two things people do when they fall out of love," he continued. "Watch closely. The first is this: they begin to withhold their presence." The monk led the traveler to a small garden where a tall tree offered shade. A young bird was resting on its branch, chirping cheerfully. "Do you see this bird?" the monk asked. The traveler nodded. "Now, watch." The monk gently waved his hand. The bird, sensing a subtle disturbance, flew away. "Love," said the monk, "is like this bird. When it feels safe and welcome, it stays, it sings, it builds a home beside you. But when love begins to fade, it withdraws, at first quietly. They may still be near you, but their presence will feel absent. Their laughter becomes less frequent. Their words no longer flow like a river, but arrive like the final drips from an empty jug. "This," he said, "is the first sign. When someone loses their love for you, they withhold their presence, even if their body remains." The traveler furrowed his brow. "But why don't they just tell me?" Why not speak the truth instead of this slow, silent retreat? The monk smiled softly. Because, he said, they themselves are still discovering the truth. Love doesn't disappear all at once, and that is where the second sign begins to reveal itself. The monk's words echoed like a soft bell through the traveler's heart. Love doesn't disappear all at once. And now, the second truth was beginning to take shape, quiet yet undeniable. When love fades, it doesn't happen in a flash of clarity or a sudden decision. It fades like the final ember of a dying fire, glowing faintly before vanishing into ash. A person doesn't wake up and declare, "Today, I no longer love." Instead, the realization creeps in slowly, day by day, moment by moment. Their heart, once tethered to yours, becomes a silent traveler, already on its journey away, while the body remains beside you, pretending not to notice. The traveler lowered his eyes, his chest tightening with sorrow. "So, what should I do?" he asked in a hushed voice. "Should I chase them? Should I plead with them to stay?" The monk's expression remained serene. He gently shook his head. "Would you run after the bird that has already flown into the sky?" he asked. "Would you beg the tree to keep holding on to its falling leaves?" The traveler sighed, the simplicity of the question cutting deep. "No," he whispered. "When love withdraws," said the monk, "you do not chase it. You honor its passing. Love that is held against its will becomes something else. It becomes a prisoner locked inside the heart's cage. And no soul, not even yours, can thrive in such captivity." A heavy silence settled between them as the traveler absorbed this truth. He nodded slowly, but his heart still ached for something more. "And the second thing?" he asked. "What else do people do when love fades?" The monk rose and beckoned him to follow deeper into the garden. There, a still pond rested beneath the trees, its surface calm and glass-like, mirroring the sky above. "Look into the water," the monk said softly. The traveler knelt beside the pond and saw his reflection, his face looking back at him, familiar yet distant, blurred slightly by the breeze. "Now watch," said the monk. He picked up a small stone and dropped it gently into the pond. Ripples spread across the surface. The reflection shattered, distorted by the moving waves, replaced by a new, unrecognizable shape. "When someone no longer loves you," the monk explained, "they don't just withdraw their presence. They become someone else. The person who once laughed with you, who cherished your stories, now seems distant, unfamiliar." He paused, letting the moment sink in. Their face is the same, yes, but their heart has moved on. Their words grow colder. Their touch loses meaning. You look at them and wonder where that other person, the one you knew, has gone. The traveler clenched his fists. "But why?" he cried softly. "How can love transform someone so completely?" The monk gazed at him with boundless patience. "Because love shapes who we are," he said. "When we love, we intertwine with the other, like two trees growing close together. But when love fades, the roots begin to untangle. Each seeks a different soil, a new sky. The person you see now is no longer the one who once held your heart. They have shed that version of themselves. And so you are not just grieving lost love, you are grieving the person they once were." Tears welled up in the traveler's eyes. "So what should I do with this sorrow?" he whispered. "How can I carry this loss?" The monk closed his eyes and drew in a long breath, as if taking in the traveler's pain, then exhaled it with the stillness of a mountain. "You do nothing," he said. The traveler looked up in surprise. You accept. Accept, the traveler repeated, his voice trembling. Yes, the monk nodded. Accept that all things change. Accept that love, like the turning of the seasons, must shift and pass. Do not chase what is already leaving. Do not mourn what has already become something new. He pointed toward the pond, now still again. Be like the water. Let the ripples fade, and in that stillness you will see the truth. The traveler leaned in, almost afraid to ask. And what is the truth? He whispered. The monk smiled, his eyes alight with knowing. The truth, he said, is that love does not belong to you. It never did. Love flows through you, visits you, changes you, but it is not yours to keep. When it leaves, do not hold on. Do not grasp at its shadow. Instead, bow to it. Thank it. Let it go. And so, just like the final leaf drifting softly from a tree in late autumn, the traveler began to release. He wiped the tears from his eyes, took a long breath, and turned his gaze back to the pond. The water, once rippled by the falling stone, had returned to stillness, calm, clear, and reflective once more. He understood now. Love is not something to be owned or held tightly. It is a guest, a sacred visitor. And when that guest decides it is time to leave, we must not lock the door in desperation. Instead, we bow. We open the door with grace. We let it go. This was the wisdom of impermanence. But the traveler's journey did not end there at the foot of the monastery. Nor did his lesson conclude with the monk's gentle voice. Life, as it always does, continued to unfold before him, twisting through valleys of memory, rising up mountain paths paved with longing. Yet something had shifted. With each step he took, he noticed the weight in his chest growing lighter. The sorrow he carried had not disappeared. It still sat within him. But it had changed, softened. It no longer crushed him. It had become a quiet companion, something he could carry without breaking. What had changed? It wasn't the pain itself. The reality of having been left behind remained unchanged. The memories still visited him in quiet moments. But what had transformed was his relationship with love, his attachment to it. He no longer saw love as something to own, something that could be lost. Instead, he began to see it as the monk had described it, a flowing river, a migratory bird, a fleeting season, beautiful, powerful, and always in motion. In Zen teachings, suffering, dukkha, emerges from our desire to grasp what is, by nature, impermanent. We cling to what cannot be held. We crave stability in a world built on change, and that is why losing love hurts so deeply, because we believe it was supposed to last forever. But the truth is more subtle. Love was never ours to lose. Let's now return to the two signs the monk had spoken of, those quiet signals that love has faded. They deserve a closer look. The first sign, the withdrawal of presence. When love begins to fade, people start to retreat. They no longer reach for your hand the way they once did. Their laughter no longer bubbles up around you. Their energy shifts, becoming distant. And though this absence stings, there is wisdom within the wound. Because love is not just about promises or pretty words, it is about presence. It is about showing up, being near, choosing connection. And where presence is absent, love cannot live. If someone no longer offers their presence to you, not their time, not their touch, not their eyes, then in truth they have already departed. Maybe not physically, but emotionally and spiritually, they are no longer beside you. Yet even this painful absence holds a gift. It is life whispering, let go. It is the universe nudging you to stop holding on to what no longer wishes to stay. Love cannot be forced. It cannot be begged for or demanded. When someone withholds their presence, it is not rejection, it is redirection, a sign to turn inward. So do not chase them. Instead, offer your presence to yourself. Sit with your sorrow. Feel it, but do not fear it. Observe it like a monk watches the rain, calmly, with acceptance. Through that stillness, healing begins. The second sign, the becoming of someone else. This sign is often more piercing than the first, for it is not just distance, it is transformation. The person who once shared your dreams, laughed at your jokes, and knew your soul begins to feel like a stranger. Their voice changes. Their smile no longer reaches their eyes. They walk in new directions, and none of those paths include you. Why does this happen? Because love changes us. When two people share love, they exchange more than affection. They exchange parts of themselves, thoughts, emotions, routines, even ways of seeing the world. Love intertwines. It molds who we are. But when love fades, that shared shaping ends. The process begins again, but now separately. They start evolving in new directions, growing into someone different, someone that no longer fits the life you once shared. And this too is not cruelty. It is not betrayal. It is simply nature at work. Just as love transforms those who experience it, so too do people transform in its passing. As we saw earlier, when love fades, people change, not from cruelty, but through the natural process of emotional evolution. Just as a caterpillar is not meant to remain a caterpillar forever, people are not meant to remain fixed in the same emotional states. They grow, they shift. Sometimes they grow together, but often they grow apart. When you begin to see this change, when their words feel unfamiliar, when their smile no longer feels like home, resist the urge to fight it. Do not try to remind them of who they used to be. That version of them is gone, like last season's bloom. Instead, bow gently to the person they have become and allow them to walk their own path, even if it no longer includes yours. But how does one truly let go without bitterness? This is one of the greatest spiritual challenges of love's impermanence, not just releasing, but releasing with grace, without anger, without resentment, without clinging to the ashes of what once was. Buddhist wisdom offers a powerful truth. Holding on to resentment is like gripping a burning coal, intending to throw it at another. But you are the one who gets burned first. So how do we release love when it no longer wishes to stay? Here are 4 mindful steps toward peaceful letting go. 1. Honor what was. Instead of anchoring your heart in the pain of loss, remember the beauty of what once existed, the laughter, the warmth, the shared moments that made your heart feel alive. They were real. Be grateful for them, not with longing, but with quiet reverence. 2. Do not chase the bird. If someone has withdrawn their love, let them go. Chasing them will not bring peace. It will only prolong your suffering. Love must be free to stay and free to leave. If it returns, let it return on its own. If not, bow to its departure. 3. Release attachment, not love. To love someone does not mean you must possess them. True love does not bind, it liberates. You can still love someone deeply and let them go. Love, in its purest form, means wishing them joy, even if that joy exists beyond your reach. 4th, turn toward yourself. When love is lost, we often believe that a part of us has been lost too, but this is only an illusion. You are still whole. You were always whole. Love did not complete you. It simply reflected the light that was already inside you. This brings us to the ultimate truth. Love is not gone. It has simply changed form. At the end of his long and tender journey, the traveler arrived at a great river. He stood at its edge, watching the water flow endlessly forward, glistening beneath the sky. He thought about the one who had left him. He remembered the ache, the longing, the many nights spent searching for answers that would never come. But as he watched the current move with quiet purpose, something inside him shifted. He realized love had not vanished. It had simply transformed. The love he once saw in another's eyes had become something new, a lesson, a memory, a part of his own becoming. Though it had left him, it had also shaped him. The love he once received from another now lived in his own reflection. Love had not died. It had moved on, just as all things must. With this awakening, the traveler did not cry. He did not fall to his knees in sorrow. He bowed, not to loss, not to pain, but to love itself, in all its forms. And then, without searching, without yearning, he walked forward, not in pursuit of love, but in full acceptance of it, wherever it may come and however it may go. For love is not something to be held. It is something to be lived. Thank you for walking this path with me today. If this story touched your heart, please consider subscribing to the channel for more reflections like this. Tap the subscribe button below and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new video. And if you'd like to share your thoughts or suggest the next topic, leave a comment. I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, may you walk gently with love in all its forms.